Do you know what you're worth as a woman? I'm not talking about your confidence or your self-esteem or knowing that what you do in the world adds value. I'm talking about an actual number. I'm talking about the number that reflects the fair market value for you and what you do in the world for work. The reason this is so I have so much passion around this is because there's still a significant wage gap between what women get paid to do for work in the world and what men get paid to do. And it's not really budging fast enough for me, and it frustrates me. And so I've been sitting with a question of what is our role? What is women's ownership in that dynamic? And it's a pretty interesting place to play. What I came to discover began with interacting with my children's babysitters. So 17, 18-year-old young women would come in and babysit my children. I would say, how much do you charge? And I was met with, well, whatever you think is reasonable, or it doesn't really matter, or whatever you think is fine. And I would say, well, actually, it really does matter because I have a number in my head, but what are you worth? And so I would use that as an opportunity, much to their chagrin, I'm sure, to sort of say, no, it's really important, and here's the number that I think you're worth. What do you think? And so there was a definite discomfort and foreign feeling about engaging in this topic with women. And they were young women. They were 17, 18-year-old. What I found most interesting was when I work with women who are in their 30s and 40s and 50s, and we're talking about their salaries or negotiating or feeling like they're not getting paid for what they're worth and the resentment that comes from that, I was met with the same sort of babysitter energy of, well, who am I to kind of question the system? They've done the research and that's what the job is worth. And when I would say, well, what do you think that job is worth? Or more importantly, what do you think you are worth in that job? I was met with that same sort of energy of, well, I don't know. And there was, or if there was a dollar figure that was put out there, an hourly rate or a salary that was put out there, it was put out with sort of a hesitation or a wince or a kind of a bracing of, well, I don't know, if maybe it's just my imagination versus the confidence. And I came to appreciate over time, having worked in the corporate world for 11 years, and then having worked as an entrepreneur, that when you're in the corporate world, women in particular don't share their salaries. So we're flying blind many times. We have no context for our fair market value of our salaries. And so we rely on the system and their due diligence of having established what is fair and equitable for that particular role and you in that role. And so it's always within a range, and so there's also, you have a range in which to play. And what I found out over time is that men actually do make a practice of sharing their salaries because they do value that information and they use that to negotiate and they use that as leverage so that they feel confident that they're entering at the appropriate spot in the organization. As an entrepreneur on the outside, I've had to get really comfortable with what I'm worth, and to put my hour, I've had to attach a dollar value to my daily rate as a consultant, to my monthly fee as a coach. Not only have I had to do research and to know what that number is, I then had to do the work of getting comfortable standing in that dollar range and feeling confident in that. And so I invite you to do your own research, to talk with people, share your salary with a colleague, a trusted colleague. Find out what other people are paid around you given your levels of experience, given your levels of education, and do your own market research and see where that shakes out. See where you fall in that range so that the next time you are entering a negotiation, you know where you stand. Make sure you know what you're worth.